Good morning. It is Monday, and as usual with Monday, we'll have a miserable Monday. Well, this is more like a miserable Monday discussion or experience, I guess, brought to you by Miserable Monday. It's going to be a couple games. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the things in World of Tanks that are painful. Some of the things that you're going to deal with, that we all deal with. I try not to go too negative on things, but we're definitely going to talk about some of the things, some of which you can control a little bit, some of which you have no control of, some of which actually kind of make the game good despite being terrible when they happen to you. So there's a lot of stuff going on right there. And we'll talk a bit about some of the things that are still plaguing the game. And I'm not going to come with a list of how to fix it all. Some of it is probably not fixable at this point, based on just how the game is designed, and it's really just baked in to a large extent. I think some of this stuff we can work on it around the edges, and a lot of it's just interesting. I guess, in my opinion anyway. Of course, I'm saying it, so I feel like it's interesting. But observations and maybe a little commiseration on a Monday morning. I've had two videos. First one is the Mana Corps. Had this battle, I believe I'm platooned with Pilgrim of Many Pilgrims. This was on stream, and when we came out of this, I said, this is a great example of everything that kind of sucks at times about World of Tanks. And like I said, a lot of this is stuff that's really just baked into the way the game is designed. There's not a whole lot you can do about it, and to some extent, it's part of what makes the game fun, even though you're getting punched in the face at times. Sometimes it goes your way, and that's what RNG really does. So we'll just talk about that first, RNG itself. Run the Mana Corps, all Tier 10. Tier 10 is another case in and of itself, because Tier 10 is very unforgiving. Tanks are as accurate as they're going to be. They have as much vision as they're going to have, as much camo. Everything is right at the top edge of the game design, right? You start down here at Tier 1, and here's the top edge of everything you can do as far as how far you can see, how accurate you can be, how fast you can be, how much armor you can have, blah, 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 blah. And then as you get towards Tier 10, all of those factors reach the ceiling of the game design. And in some cases, some tanks seem to kind of go a little bit above the ceiling and cause problems. EBRs, there you go. So the first thing is RNG that we talked about, and then the next thing is EBRs. Just to close the loop a little bit on RNG, both with penetration, damage, and to some extent dispersion, although I do understand dispersion obviously is not RNG, but it is a relatively randomized, I wouldn't call it random, but to some extent randomized clumping or dispersion of the shots around the center of the pipper. The aim point right there, yes, most shots will be near the center, but on occasion you're just going to have the ones that go into stupid land. And while it's not exactly a roll of the dice, it can feel very random to the player at the time. And if you get a couple of those in a row, now you're bumming, right? Now you're not liking that at all. So let's go into tanks for just a minute, and we're talking about Tier 10s as well. And I think a lot of this stuff is exacerbated at Tier 10 based on what I just talked about with the design of the game and everything bumping up against the ceiling of the design of that game. And it's very unforgiving at Tier 10. And then you toss in things like, number one, we're going to talk about wheeled tanks. Let's just watch the Sprayed Roach EBR rage around here just a second. I'm going to come up to this hill, and here he comes. Right now, if you were in a tracked light tank or a medium this early in the game, you would not make this move. Right? He is pretty confident he's going to get in here and thump me, and I'm probably going to miss. Right? 7 out of 10 times, 5 out of 10 times, 4 depending on the skill of the player, who knows. But if you're in an EBR, you can do things like this, and oh, by the way, you're not going to get tracked. You're extremely fast, you're hard to hit, you have the magic auto aim, you have extremely good accuracy for the speed and capabilities of this tank, and it also carries a pretty darn good HE round. And I know this, so I really don't want to be shot by this dude. He actually slows down and is a little bit careful. So I'm just going to back off, get a little bit lucky, and that works out for me. So the EBR has grabbed the hill, but he's going to get pushed off. That 121 Bravo does get a piece of him, and he buggers off. So EBRs. Wheeled tanks in general, bit of an issue for the game. Take the Manti core over here, and we'll try. Ooh, and I get hit by the STB1. Arty's flying in. All right, Arty. There it goes. Boom. 121 explodes. Next thing is Arty, right? 3 of them, tier 10 Arty. They have been nerfed. They're much less of a pain than they used to be, but it's still guys on the red line clicking on you. It more often than not feels like arbitrary damage out of the blue. Unless you're an Arty player and like it, then you probably don't feel that way. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. So you've got 3 Arty. Again, not as bad as it used to be. Now watch this. So I'm going to come in here and try to hit this guy. All right, miss. Aimed behind him. So to some extent, my fault. Also then the RNG. You know, had the RNG put the shot to the left there in the dispersion circle, I might have got a shot. A couple things going on. He's hauling ass. Right? There's nothing else as fast as that in the game. That is a tank that, in my opinion, is actually slightly above the design limits of the game. Right? Not that it's going faster than the game will allow, because there it is, right? It's obviously going that fast. But when the game was designed and everything was put together, the rule set, it wasn't really, I don't think it was really built for something moving that fast. All right? So, unable to get the shot, some dispersion, a little bit of bad aiming on the players. All those come together, and I've missed yet again on an EBR. I have missed more EBR shots than any other shot in this entire game. It may be approaching, well, probably not, because I've played a lot more Arty, I suppose, than I've shot at EBRs. But it's starting to feel like more than missing shots with Arty is missing EBRs constantly. And the disruptive capability of the EBR in the game is pretty out of control. So right off the bat, we got some frustration. And there he goes. We'll just stick with the EBR thing for a minute. All right, so he's raging. We're waiting for a reload. Here we go. We'll get it. Oh, no. Okay, he's doing that. Okay, no, he's over there. And he's just raging. There we go. Nobody can hit him. He's got no hit points. And miss. Same discussion. So we'll hang out here. Teammates. What's the team doing? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys on the north. There's me on the south. I have an STB coming up at me now. No way we're going to hold this south hill. Not enough power. The 705 is, I don't know why, out in the middle right there. Perhaps he got locked down by the EBR, or maybe that's the actual position he decided to take. You can't control for crewmates, right, or teammates. You can't control for them. You press battle, and Matchmaker puts tanks together. It doesn't care who's in them, and then you get a guy like that doing whatever he's doing, right? Whatever he is doing. And everybody gets that. Of course, here now the Arty is blapping me. So I get a near miss from Arty for 196. Back out the STB. I can't fight him. And we'll run away. Things are not going well. We've lost a Super Conqueror. Only 2 of our heavies are in town. 3 of them, actually. There's a Type 5 over there. I get hit by the Progetto. Autoloaders. Those are fun. Autoloaders are fun, right? So not only do I get hit once, I get hit twice in, what, 2 seconds by something dropping 300 or so hit points on me, and not a thing I can do. So autoloaders are all kinds of fun, and we keep proliferating autoloaders. That seems to be just about the only thing that continues to get added to the game. Why? Well, they're popular. The Russians in particular love the autoloaders. Good players love autoloaders because you can leverage it. That's not to say they're good for the game, though. I think to a large extent, the turbo battles are quite affected by autoloaders. They're just able to take people out very, very quickly. So I spot that guy. We'll go ahead and bail out here. I didn't want to shoot there because I knew I'd get spotted. Spotting range, phone booth kind of maps like this. I bounce the STB. At least I hit that guy. Pretty happy that I actually hit him. We're at 0-0-0. I've done nothing. I've done nothing. And what's our team doing? Well, we're 3-5 now. The guys on the North Hill are the only real power that we've got. Looking for a shot right here. And basically, at this point, this has turned into, I'm probably not going to bring this back from the brink. That's a frustration you will have in this game. You will get to this point in a lot of games, and you'll look at it and go, my tank, especially if you're maybe bottom tier, my position, my tank, my team, the setup, the map, is not conducive to me bringing this back. I will try. I'll do my best, but really what I'm doing now is in a bit of damage farming mode. Let's at least get some damage and something out of this, continue to play and enjoy the game as we're doing it. And if I do really well, get a little lucky, maybe some of my teammates finally kind of wake up and help, maybe we make this thing happen. But look at the deployment. They own the city down there. They own the south. We're in big trouble, right? This is pretty much over. The STB and the Progetto are about to come up, kill all 3 of our artillery, such as the help they have been during this game. And really, I'm just in damage farming mode. So you're going to find that, and there's a frustration in this game. So what have we talked about? Wheeled tanks, RNG, bounces, artillery, teammates, and matchmaker. All of these things. And when you get a game like this, I hit him, but RNG took it a little to the right, / dispersion. I got it. Dispersion took a little to the right. Hit into the top of the armor right there. And I didn't look at it whether it was a bounce or it went into the tracks and just didn't damage anything. But either way, 0 damage, right? So here we go. We'll just aim again really nicely on this guy. Nope, miss. All right. You have to take your responsibility for the parts of it that is your responsibility. I could have let that probably zoom in. I think I just had maybe another tick or 2 before it was fully zoomed. But in any event, he was pretty full in the reticle, and I didn't even hit the tank. I completely missed the tank. So I've still got 0 damage. And we'll keep falling back. Back, 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 back. I don't want to shoot the guy yet. I'd like to get up here into the bush. And we're down to 4 to 12. It's looking really good. We're in great shape here. I can't see this guy. He's actually behind the buildings a little bit. So there we go. So we'll back out. And we'll take an aim with the green reticle. He looked like he was looking, and he definitely was. He's not stupid. He knows that's where I am. Right? He got lit. So I'm going to go a little bit angled to where he wasn't, and we'll come in here. He's probably fired all 3 shots. All right, here we go. This will be it. Surely we'll get some damage out. Nope. Nope. Nothing. Again, maneuver, take responsibility for the part that is your responsibility. Finally come raging out of here. And it's 4 to 13. We have 2 tanks left in about 5 minutes. Because this is an assault map and you only have 10 minutes to do it. So in about 5 minutes, we basically lost 2 minutes ago, if you remember what the setup was at that point. And you're going to have these frustrations. So it's just this game. And I'm at a 0 damage game. Let's just go a little bit further. I think I actually get some damage here before I die. There we go. So I get 411 damage at the very end. So nearly 0 damage game. Teammates not the best. Not a great deployment. Artillery bombing everything. Giant, I didn't talk about the giant TDs and their massive alpha like an FV. A 110E3 was 750. Tier 10 battle, everything at the top of the design of the game, taking what looks like a pretty big and open map and turning it into a phone booth because of the vision and the control and the speed and the accuracy and everything that you've got at Tier 10. Tier 10 really makes all the maps play smaller, right? So people, just for example, will complain about mines with Tier 10, which is like fighting in a pocketbook inside of a phone booth. But even a relatively open map like this is a lot like a phone booth at Tier 10. They just makes the maps play so much smaller. And at Tier 10, you have so little room for mistakes. A Romple Stomp, we didn't really cover that, although that's really what this has all been getting to, is you're on the back end, on the bad end of the Romple Stomp, and you can come away with a really bad taste in your mouth. All right. I think I covered everything I wanted to on that because that's a lot. And it's all the stuff you will often see in the forums or on Reddit, people complaining about the standard stuff. I don't know if I missed anything in there, right? I think I covered everything. When it all shows up in one game, it can get extremely frustrating. So what do you do about it? Well, you could be like me and whine and make a video about it. To a large extent, all you've got to do is hit battle again. And hopefully it doesn't happen to you twice. But RNG being what it is, it probably will. The other thing you can do is understand that sometimes you're the purple team / red team, and you have a good game and you wipe guys out. I've been on both sides, obviously. You guys have as well. So you got to put it into a little bit of perspective that, yeah, that happened to me, but look at your win rate and, you know, how you do in the tanks you like, and you probably realize pretty quickly, all right, this is not every game. You're going to remember the bad ones a lot more than you're going to remember the good ones, more than likely. And when you get this kind of bad taste going on right here, all you really can do is just try to ignore it and move on. Now, what can wargaming do about a lot of this stuff? Precious little. You know, Arty's been changed multiple times. Probably not going to be changed. It is as neutered as it's ever been in the game. I feel bad, as I've said multiple times, for Arty players, because I don't even know why people play it anymore, to be quite honest. It's such a broken game mechanic to be able to arbitrarily affect the map from anywhere, nearly anywhere on it, to almost anywhere on the map, that balancing is extremely difficult. It doesn't take much before it becomes overpowered or over annoying, and then you nerf a little bit and now it's just completely useless. So I don't have an answer for that one. I thought in the past, I still think this to some extent, that if it was a little more in danger to counter battery, that would be better. They sort of did that, but the problem is you just can't hit reliably close enough to the other Arty with enough blast to kill them. So counter Arty, even though you've got better tracers and things like that, is still a crapshoot. They changed the distance at which, and I think it's somewhat randomized, from which you see the tracer come out. So counter battery is a joke. And I don't know why they did that. I really don't. But there you go. So Arty, I don't know. No answer, really. Maps, vision. I think this is the one thing that I think I have kind of a good idea on, and that would be to across the board reduce everything's vision by 10%. And maybe give a few percent back to scouts so that they actually see a little better. The problem with the vision system at tier 10 is it is completely saturated at the maximum vision, and then it's all burned through past that. I might even go 20% and then give 10% back to scouts. And what that would do is it's going to reduce increase the size of the maps, or at least the way they play. Not the physical size, but it will increase the way the maps play in terms of size. That's the one big idea I would love to see. And I'm just talking an across the board, everything minus 10 to 20%. I don't know. I think that will make the maps play bigger. Right there. Wheeled tanks. They have to be slowed down more when they get hit. They have to be more reliably hit. I don't know how you do that. Perhaps you don't do anything about the more reliably hit, but they have to slow down more. It's so broken for them to be able to rage at the speed they do. In fact, I would also nerf their speed a little bit so they're not so fast. The game design and mechanics do not work with that speed. They simply do not. So that's wheeled tanks right there. RNG, you know, I've often in the past said something like, hey, let's reduce it by 5% or 10%. I don't know if that's really an answer, because frankly, RNG is part of kind of what makes the game cool. If it was a case of you put the pipper, the aim point on something, and you shoot and you hit it, the Twitch players would have a huge advantage over the rest of us. And while I'm decent at Twitch for my advanced age, I'm not going to act like I could go into Call of Duty or one of these other games and do really well. It isn't going to happen. So the RNG sort of levels the playing field just a little bit. Twitch guys still have an advantage, but the RNG chucks a curveball at them. So I think RNG is actually not bad for the game. Matchmaker. I'm pretty happy with Matchmaker. I'm not jazzed when I'm on a terrible team in terms of skill. The problem with a lot of that argument is determining what it is that we're going to use. And then that becomes a one-size-fits-all. You don't really know who's playing it. It's the account with whatever stats it has. We know they get sold. We know people have multiple accounts. I mean, the what-ifs and the wherefores and the why-tos involved with some kind of skill-based matchmaking just kind of makes it, in my opinion, a useless move. So There's a lot of ways to do that. I don't think I'm on board. I wish I had a good idea on that. Maybe you do. Chuck it down in the comments. I would love to see the teams a little more balanced, but I don't know how you do that to where it matters or it is done well. So there you go. That was a hard one right there. Alpha. There are tanks that need to have less alpha. Things like the FV, maybe even the 110E3. I feel like 750 should be the maximum anything ever does in this game. You can do the plus or minus thing if you want. But getting hit for 1400 or deleted by an FV or a, well, they're both FVs, the 215 or the 4005, or getting thumped for over $1,000 by a JPZ, all that kind of stuff. That really, it's not very fun. I think it's overall it causes less fun than it gives. Meaning that the players who play it probably have fun when it works, although it can be frustrating because of this dispersion on most of those guns and the lack of mobility, and it's hard to get the tanks in. But again, it feels more like a random gameplay element like artillery. It's just you happen to run into one of those and it happens to get a good RNG roll and it happens to pen, and then you happen to be back in the garage. And you might say, well, Guido, it happens so infrequently it's not a big deal, but it is, because it's just dumb. You know what I mean? Okay, got it. It happens infrequently, kind of like getting nuked by artillery these days. But when it happens, it's just stupid. It doesn't change it being stupid. It's stupid either way. It's like, well, it's fine if it's stupid. It only happens once in a while. All right, well, it's still stupid. That's all I have to say about that thing. So there you go, guys. A couple thoughts, a couple thousand thoughts on the things that can make the game painful. The things that can make the game painful. If you guys have any others, go ahead and chuck them down in the comments. I'm sure I missed a couple. Pet peeves by people, things that they don't like. I really stuck to a large extent with gameplay. I didn't delve off into things about wargaming and greed and all the other stuff that people go off on. I didn't touch on gold ammo. That's probably another big subject I could have touched on a little bit. Gold, special, premium, whatever the word of the day, the word du jour is for those kinds of rounds. I wanted to mostly stick into gameplay on the video here. So, but yeah, chuck some of those things down there if you've got any of those. Be interesting on the discussion. That is all I've got for today on my miserable Monday experience. The things that make the game on occasion suck, which to some extent, you'll note as I talked about it, for a lot of different people, some of those things make the game awesome. Is that a shell coming in to hit me? Look at that. No, it's the path of it. That's actually pretty cool. You do have to like the graphics of the game. I mean, look at the terrain on this thing. Do you ever just wander off? Let's just wander off into a tangent. Do you ever look around the maps at things? Now, this one doesn't have as much high terrain around, although there is a big mountain thing looking over there. But you got the big dust storm coming in. Just really pretty gorgeous, actually. They've done a nice job with the graphics, especially if you've been around as long as I have, and you saw the graphics when it first started. Very basic kind of stuff. They've done a nice job with that. So there you go. The old, when you're critiquing somebody, give them something good at the end. There you go, Wargaming. Your graphics are awesome. All right, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you.